Hello everyone.
Hello everyone. Hello everyone. Hello everyone. I'm Fozzie or Cam, and I'm here as always with my co-host Will. How are you doing today, Will?
I'm doing great, Cam. How about you?
I'm doing fantastic, and today we're doing something very special, something called the Everything Podcast movie. It's not really a movie, but you know, it's a little more different than the usual podcast. So Will, what's one thing about the podcast that you just love?
One thing about the podcast that I love, Cam, is the chance to interact with our fans. Our podcast has obviously continued to grow as we've done more things like shorts, and they've added even more viewers and people comment on our shorts, and I love to see what their takes are on what our opinions are on things that we love, that they also love. So the chance to interact with our continually growing fan base is something that I always love.
Yeah, the fan base, I mean, it's growing every day, and I'm super happy about that. But one thing I love about the podcast is that we get to talk about the things that we love, and that's not always something we get to do, and the fact that we have a scheduled event to do it every week is just awesome. And every episode, I find different ways to enjoy doing the podcast.
All right, Cam, so this summer we are celebrating 3 years of the Everything Podcast. We started it back in the summer of 2021, and we're still going strong here in the summer of 2024. And a question that I have for you is, what are some goals you have for the future of the Everything Podcast?
Well, for me, a goal I have in the future for the podcast is to get, honestly, more famous guests on the show, to interview them. We've been in contact with a few people, and it's kind of working out, but also kind of not at the same time. We've had people like Forrest Hill on the show, who has had a decent amount of success in music, which has been awesome. So I'm just looking to have more things like that happen on the podcast, more performers, more interviews, which is something we've yet to do, what we're trying to figure out. But Will, what about you?
I would say I just want to continue to give our fans the things that they love the most. We've obviously gotten a lot of views on our shorts recently, and I just want to let our fans know that we totally keep track of the things that you're loving on the podcast, and our fans seem to be really enjoying the shorts recently, so we will definitely keep that up, and we look forward to chatting with more fans on those shorts in these upcoming years.
So Will, out of all the things we've done on the podcast, shorts, podcast episodes, the Forrest Hill and John Kavanaugh stuff, out of all those things and more, what do you think the best thing we've ever posted on the Everything Podcast channel is?
That's a great question, Cam, and I have so many different highlights that come to mind, and I feel like our episodes keep getting better over the years and the more and more that we do them. And as much as I'm tempted to pick our episodes from New Year's of this year when we did our tier list, which I thought was so much fun, the one I keep coming back to is the one that you, me, and the person who is currently suspended from the Everything Podcast for pretending to be the third host when they're actually not, did a couple New Years ago when we gave our reviews for Spider-Man No Way Home and Cobra Kai Season 4. And the reason that one sticks out to me is because how often is it that you have a podcast where you're able to talk about two things as epic as that? I thought that was definitely one of our best episodes, definitely one of my favorites, so I'm going to pick that as my favorite right now. How about for you, Cam? What's your favorite episode we've done on the podcast?
Well, for me, I think it's probably the Forrest Hill, John Kavanaugh thing. I mean, I guess it has to be because it's been the most successful for our channel. But the things that I've appeared in and you've appeared in, I think all of the New Year's episodes are always legendary. So I think all of them I enjoy. But I have also been enjoying posting the shorts a lot because they really help to grow the channel.
All right, Cam, so of all the topics we have discussed in our 3 years doing the Everything Podcast, which one is your favorite?
Well, for me, as of late, it's been music because we didn't used to talk about it a lot, and now it's become a more popular theme on the podcast, and I'm really happy about that because in the past year or so, I've become more into music. What about you?
For me, I'm going to have to go with our Marvel movie reviews because I feel like they're such an epic point of discussion whenever they come up on the podcast. And whether we liked the movie or not, we're going to spend a full episode giving our thoughts on it, giving epic breakdowns about all the bits and pieces of that particular Marvel film. I just think some of our best episodes come out of Marvel movies, so props to the MCU for that, for sure.
So yeah, well, I've loved doing this podcast over the past 3 years or so, and I can't wait to continue it. You know, it's been some of my favorite memories have been part of making this podcast, whether it be in Santa Fe, whether it be the failed Everything Week that we did about, I don't know, 2 years ago now. That didn't happen, but we still did some fun things. They just never ended up getting posted on the podcast. And this trip to California has been fantastic, and I'm glad we decided to make the Everything Week happen. And Forrest and John coming on the podcast, What Grinds My Gears was legendary. So yeah, this podcast has been awesome, and I'm really excited to keep it going. Yeah, do you have any thoughts?
I just want to thank our fans. As you said, we've been doing the podcast for 3 years now, and to all of our fans, we would not be able to do it without you. Our podcast has experienced massive growth in recent months, in particular due to the shorts that we've been putting out. So we're going to be continuing to do that. And again, just thank you to all of our fans. Without you, this podcast would not have been going for 3 years. So thank you all so much.
Yep, thank you all for watching this episode of the Everything Podcast, even though it wasn't a normal episode. And yeah, we'll see you next time.